I'd say these look a little better than they did before. Okay, I've got two cutting boards here that are family favorites. I've been chopping on them for years, and they're looking a little worn out. We want to make them look like new again and get that wood protected against moisture so these last a little longer. They've held up well. This is actually my favorite board ever over here. I just love the shape of it. Square is better in my opinion, but it's got this nice maple edge grain that we're gonna revive. So you can see these boards have a router trim on them. This one has a, hard to see, but it's actually a cove bit. And this has a chamfer on it, just like a 45 degree. So I don't want to take too much material off the tops of these, so I'm going to sand these. I may have to meet in the middle and leave some knife marks so that I don't take too much off, but I'm going to try to remove material evenly so we keep these edges, and even if they're a little smaller, these nice accents, they're going to be even all the way around. So yeah, we're gonna get the sanding done, and then we're gonna hit them with a two-step finish process that should protect them for another good long while. All right, we're gonna be using our random orbit sander here. Don't need one, but it's gonna help a lot. Specifically, it's gonna make things faster, and it's gonna make it so you have less lines from the actual sanding process. Basically, these tools, the way they spin, or the random orbit that they create, is really good at getting rid of those lines that are left by going with the grain with sandpaper. So, helpful for a couple reasons if you got one. They're pretty inexpensive, so pick one up. All right, so we got 200 grit on here. Actually, I think this is 220. I'm gonna actually stick with that because I don't want to take a ton of material off of here, and I know I'm gonna get left with knife marks anyway, and you'll see even with knife marks on these pieces after the refinishing process, they're still gonna look way better than they did before. More importantly, they're gonna be protected. This next part is completely optional, but if you do it, it's going to make your board stay smoother after you wash it for the first time. It's called raising the grain. Basically, we're just going to wipe these down with water real quick, lightly, so they dry in a reasonable amount of time. That's going to lift all the little wood fibers on the surface, and basically we're going to sand them again after that before we put the final finish on, and it's going to stay smoother for longer. Yeah, you can definitely tell a difference in the texture if you do this. If you're selling boards, I highly recommend you do this because it's going to help set you apart. People are going to notice how smooth your board is compared to everybody else's. Another thing that'll set you apart is what we're going to do with the finish. I said it's a two-step, so we're doing cutting board oil for sure, but we're going to throw this wax on there after. So stick around and see how to do that. And that's going to give you a better product, guaranteed. You'll notice it the first time you put the wax on. You'll say, wow, I need to do this all the time. The board is smoother, shinier, and lasts longer. Okay, don't need to get this too soaked. And the face grain is much more important to get that wet. You also get a preview of what your board's going to look like when you get that finish on there. These look way better. This step will also show you if there's any like gouges or scratches that you really just don't want. I think they look kind of cool on this Targa wood. And one last benefit to this step is you clean your board of all the sawdust before that final finish. You can do the same with like tack cloth or something else, but this works well. Alright, we're going to let these dry, come back, give them a final sand and some finish. These boards are just about dry, and I can feel that they are much rougher as expected. All those little fibers that are usually running this way are lifted because of the moisture. So we're going to go ahead and hit this very briefly with 220 again, and maybe 400 if you're, wanting to go that extra mile, get it super smooth. Yeah, I'm actually going to hand sand this part because I'm going to be doing it so lightly just to knock those fibers down one last time that it should work just fine. Alright, so we got wow. Alright, so the grain has been raised, we sanded again, and we are ready to hit this with our final finishing process. So today we are going to be using cutting board oil. So here's how we're going to do this. First, we're going to saturate the board with this stuff. Cutting board oil, mineral oil, something food safe. This is Howard brand. That's going to be step one. Step two, after it's dry, we are going to apply this wax that is food grade. And this stuff is just great. It's going to make the appeal of the board go way up, and it's inexpensive. Whoa. Honestly, it makes it so this process that we're doing right now, you don't have to do it as often because this outer layer of wax repels water really well, and you'll notice that if you do this, your board will stay looking new for longer, like more washes, more water exposure, it'll just look like new after. So, highly recommend doing this, but it is an optional step. Most importantly, you want to saturate with this stuff. All right, let's groove. Well, I mean, I like to soak the rag with it, but that's not as cool, right? So this is the part we've all been waiting for. I don't mind oil in my workbench, you could use it. Boom. Looks pretty good. I've already got a ton of oil here. Let's wipe that around. Wow, I forgot how pretty this board was. If you guys are wondering, that's maple black walnut, but the maple I flipped on edge so that you'd see this ray flecking pattern that maple is known for. So it was really bold in this piece and I had to show it off. Okay, so make sure that you get this end grain with probably a little more finish than you would put here, because it's going to drink that first bit that you put on there. Think of the wood fiber like straws, a bunch of straws glued together. The ends of the straws tend to drink up finish. Let's get that nice and covered. So if you want to only do 1 coat of the wax or 0 coats of the wax, get this board saturated even more than I'm doing it now. If you want, you can actually dunk it in mineral oil if you have enough of it on hand. But this is fine for our purposes because I'm going to put 1 really serious coat of wax on there to make up any gaps in the amount of finish that this board has drank in, whatever. Let's see what the other one looks like. Prop that up. This board, we never talked about the wood in it, but it's got tiger wood. That's that bold orange-black grain that you're gonna see in a sec. It's got purple heart in the middle. Oh yeah. Went a little heavy there. Let's flip this bad boy over. Beautiful. Stick around though, or skip ahead, because it's going to look even better with that final coat of wax on there. Wow. Alright. We'll wipe that excess oil off, give this a chance to drink first, actually. Give it a chance to drink up all this extra, and then we'll go ahead and wipe off the excess. But you can see there are knife marks in this piece, but still what we did has this board looking just amazing. Almost looks better with knife marks after you've done this a few times. Just adds character to the piece. Let's go ahead and let these dry. So let's go ahead and let these soak up all the finish that they can, and then we'll come by and wipe off the excess. Something to look out for. So this guy, right, we hit him first. I'm gonna hit this end grain again because I can see already that it's drank up a lot of that mineral oil. So there you go. Give that one more coat. And right there. If you want, you can hit the board more on the face surface too. Alright, here's how we do the wax. See the directions here tell you, you can see the directions here tell you this. I do not think that you need to let it dry for the full hour. Let's get that first sloppy coat on there. You're basically looking for streaks of wax covering your whole piece. See that? Yep, that's what you want. I like to go nice and generous. You can do multiple coats with this stuff. I'm just going to hit the end grain with the excess on the cloth, and then I'm going to do the other face of the board. Yeah, you can do multiple coats of this if you want. I think they recommend to let it cure a full 24 hours, both before first use and before putting a second coat on. That's going to help the wax temper so that it stays put, basically, and then another coat adds to it instead of just kind of mixing with it. Alright, so you can see we got streaks of wax on there. Same thing on the other side. I'm just putting the cloth into this container. It's a clean cloth for the most part. So I'm being a barbarian going right into the container, but however you want to do it. Okay, you can see doing the same thing, just getting streaks on this side, real sloppy. Just getting it covered. We'll put that there to tack up for the next 20 minutes or so. And then we'll come back and buff it. This board I can see drank a little bit more finish. See how it just looks a little lighter? It looks like you could use more oil. I'm gonna go real heavy on the wax on this board. What's cool about this wax, other than it being food safe and super easy and kind of smelling like honey, beeswax, it actually kind of melts with friction really easily. So even though I'm in the Northeast here and I got a really cold shop, I don't really find a need to, you know, melt this in water or anything like that. The board drinks it. So you can actually apply a first little bit to the end grain here like I am now, and then plan on coming back later because it's going to drink it faster than the rest of the board. Alright, so we got streaks everywhere. Actually, I think I want a little more on here. There we go. Streaky wax all over. Flip it. Same thing. Okay, put that with its buddy, leave them both to tack up for at least 20 minutes or so, and then we'll come back and buff them with a clean cloth. Okay, here I am about 25 minutes later. This is tacked up a little bit. I think it'll be enough. You can always put another coat on or rebuff the wax. If you get a little friction going, get heat, melt the wax, it'll work fine. But here we go. Soft circles like this, and you'll see it temper into a nice smooth layer. See that? That didn't take long at all, and now all the wax is perfectly even. So that's what you want to go for. And here's the other side of the board where I stopped. See it get all globby. So if you have a nice glancing light like I do right now, it's really easy to tell visually when you're done buffing the wax in. So let's get a nice even layer everywhere, huh? On the edges, you kind of just wax on, wax off. You don't really have the room to do the circles like that, but it'll work out just fine. Alright, if you got excess wax on there, just keep switching cloths. You know, keep introducing clean cloths and you'll end up with not an excess, but just the right amount. So that one is done. We will let it harden up over the next 24 hours before we cut on it. You will probably be safe if you do cut on it. It's just the wax may move. You know, it won't stay put. Well, I'm really happy with how much that edge grain on the maple popped out after restoring this particular board. Look at that. So here we are, 24 hours later. This wax is completely cured. These look great. Can't wait to put them back in the kitchen. Hey, if you got anything out of this, help me out. Toss me a like. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this. Till next time, peace.